So how are the fresh Wrath of the Lich King servers, and am I having a good time? What you just saw pretty much sums it up. One big queue. Before we start, if you want just a little bit of a personal progress update, my Paladin is 70. It's been 70 for multiple days. Cleared all tier 4, all tier 5, Zola man, and we're meant to be going to tier 6 tonight, if I can ever get through this queue. At the moment, that is the only thing that's probably a little bit of a downer, and I know some of you guys who play on Gehennis or wherever else that's suffering with queues, you're probably getting the same thing at the moment, but sitting in queues for 5-6 hours, it doesn't feel good. And it really is actually making planning raids quite difficult because, yes, while people do remote connect to their PC to keep themselves in the game like I did earlier, I still made a little bit of a mistake by stepping away from the computer too long when I was actually at home and ended right back in an 11,000 queue. But overall, so far, Fresh has actually been fantastic. It's been everything I wanted and more. The population is massive. There's 13, 14 layers almost at all times of the day. The guild's absolutely booming where we've got 150 to 200 people online all the time as well. So it's not difficult to find a group for anything. Like I say, really, the only thing that's letting it down at the moment is the fact that only so many people can get in at a time, and the queues are literally monstrous for multiple hours. It's not even just peak time. I got a queue at midday on a weekday. I know a lot of people might have booked time off for these fresh servers, so maybe a week or two. So you would think by sort of next week they might get to normal where actually during the day there is no queue for sad acts like me that can play all day. But it's from like 12 o'clock in the afternoon until literally 12 o'clock at night. It's a good 12 hours every day where you're guaranteed a queue. But it's been absolutely fantastic seeing groups forming from dead mines all the way up to tier 6 and Sunwell raids. People actively doing heroics to get badges, sitting and farming battlegrounds for honor to get that brutal gear. The game just feels incredibly alive. It was quite unfortunate how I actually started on the back foot because the servers came up around 4 to 5 hours before I expected them to. So I got up when my alarm went off, but the servers had already been up for multiple hours and there was already like level 25s and I was only just creating my character. So I had to put in some serious hours to try and sort of at least get ahead of the curve a little bit, which I successfully did. And to be fair, after around level 40, 45, it was pretty much smooth sailing, to be fair. Again, not going to be blaming Fresh as the only reason because it's the big servers that are all suffering the same things at the moment, and that's with full layer crashes. So you'll frequently see 20, 30, 40% of your guild all go offline at the same time where an entire layer crashes. The capacity on the servers definitely need to be looked at. In terms of general enjoyment though, having your level 80 talents, even with full green gear when you've dinged on these Fresh servers, being able to jump straight into clearing tier 5 content very, very easily. I'm sure tier 6 as well, but as I say, not actually gone in tier 6, that's going to be tonight. But it is just fun because it's just a big cleave fest. You don't even need to worry about mechanics. I mean, when we went into our first Karazhan run, it literally felt like we was just doing a dungeon, but with 10 of us, and it probably being easier than a heroic dungeon, to be fair. It's been quite funny to reflect on comments as well on YouTube where people said that there wouldn't be enough people to fill the Fresh servers or there'd be no queues because they're going to be dead after the first day. That definitely isn't the case, and I do feel like these Fresh servers will remain fresh for their duration. And what I mean by that is Blizzard obviously said in a blue post that it would be at least 3 months before boosts were allowed or before transfers, but that was assuming that the server needed, that injection of players, which if anything from the first week is to go by, it's just not going to need it. Even if you had 50% of the population fall off of Thekal, which is the server that I'm on in particular, you'd still have more than enough people to fill the server and there still probably be queues. I feel like it's really breathed a fresh breath of life into World of Warcraft Classic, if I'm completely honest. It has for me anyway. You could be different, but having to do all professions again, worrying about alts, leveling, doing dungeons, getting gear, starting completely fresh with no gold, so having to really worry about everything that you're doing and when you can spend gold, when you can't. It's just been an absolutely phenomenal experience. I honestly would say it's probably the most fun week I've had in Classic ever, even 2019 launch week, because not really much of a vanilla fanboy. I don't particularly like the vanilla playstyle of the classes, how slow everything is, so actually having like balanced for level 80 in Wrath of the Lich King on a fresh server that stops at TBC is really interesting, because having played on loads of different servers that we shouldn't talk about, you as soon as you're 70, boom, you then go to Northrend. Already 68, you go to Northrend. Not being able to do that felt really weird. As soon as I dinged 68, I was like, right, no, I'm not going anywhere. You know, I'm expecting to then go into Northrend, but obviously you're not. So it's a really weird experience for me personally to actually then get to 70 with all of your Wrath talents and everything after a fresh grind to then come to a halt to actually be able to then sort of chill out, do some professions, get some gear, do some heroics, do some raiding, whatever. Obviously, we're trying to get the most out of the pre-patch, so we're literally raiding, everything. You know, I don't know if that's normal, if most guilds are doing that, but the vast majority of people seem to be sat in Battlegrounds just getting brutal gear. But be aware, because there's a lot of controversy around it at the moment with the ban waves going out, which I am going to address in a separate video over the next couple of days. Once I see if we're getting some of these bans reverted and stuff, but if you don't know, a lot of people, if they've been farming in AV, like AFKing, of course, you can get banned, which I'll be honest with you, I don't completely agree with. I think you should be banned from Battlegrounds, queuing in Battlegrounds. I don't think, like, happening to go AFK to go and grab a drink quickly and then people see that you just stood there for less than a minute or whatever, or I don't know, you've answered the phone, and then getting banned from the game for a month, that don't float well with me. But as I say, more on that in a separate video. Overall, I would say the fresh experience, the fresh launch, and the fresh long-term success is all looking really good. I do think these are around to stay, and it wouldn't surprise me if they actually launch a couple of fresh servers with any future expansion. So come Cataclysm, it wouldn't surprise me if they do this again. And judging by the numbers on these fresh servers, I really do feel like it's brought a lot of players back. And I'm only looking at one on the server that I actually play on, which is Thekal, as I said earlier. But there are 4 of these servers, and assuming that they're all even half as busy as Thekal is, they're all in a pretty good place. Now, whilst I know there was no major information in this video or anything like that, it was just a bit of my thoughts on how the fresh servers have gone so far. If you did enjoy it, obviously be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss any more videos. Obviously, check the link to Rested XP in the description. If you're leveling on fresh servers, then you might as well use Rested XP because it's quick, as you can tell. That's why most of our guild is already 70 and raiding, and that probably is thanks to being able to level the fastest way possible. But anyway, as I say, be sure to like and subscribe and roll the outro. There's lots of ways you can support the channel to keep me here putting out World of Warcraft content and covering all future MMOs. Consider joining the channel as a member. You get access to emotes, everyone will know you're a member when you comment on future videos because you get a nice icon next to your name, and you get access to members-only videos, which I'll be putting a lot of on the channel throughout the year. Additionally, there's a Patreon link in the description as well. Thank you for watching all the way to the end, and I'll see you on the next one.